Is this the last episode?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you mind if I had to
Not
the
much
bathroom real
happened.
quick? Yeah, not much happened this season. Do you mind if I acquire bathroom privileges real quick?
Privileges.
That was
Sure,
the weirdest way to say that. Do you mind if I acquire bathroom privileges? Need to hack into the mainframe and grant myself access to use it real quick.
Hello, are you have returned? He is not. I can say whatever I want in the recording. Ha ha ha. Do you guys know that Ethan is actually from Azkafart, and he discovered a time machine in the Arizona desert when he was 11, and he's the chosen one reincarnated, and he survived a hospital collapsing on him the day he was born, and he's basically a perfect child in almost every way, and he doesn't know what an iPad is, but he also has a laboratory in his bedroom. You guys like Taylor Swift's new album? I like it. My favorite song is Maroon.
Ooh, what a mountain. Happy little mountain,
That is
happy
a
little
mountain.
clouds. How come Zim didn't fall asleep?
I don't know.
Did he plug his ears with...
Gold?
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
I don't like this at all.
That was Maximus vibes.
The map is carved on the dragon's tooth.
Oh, who took the time to do that?
This is going crazy. We have to get out of here.
Oh, Reximus.
Yeah, typically when I wake up because of a small pinch, I do not destroy my entire room.
I'm kind of surprised that this guy breathes fire when he's an earth dragon. I expected him to breathe like dirt,
Breathe
mud
earth?
or something.
All of you will be dust and ash.
Okay, I think you need to like take anger management classes.
Viren is alive.
Not for long, I hope. 30-day free trial about to expire real soon.
Oh no. She's doing it again.
Bruh.
I know.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have fun.
If only we'd had this happen at the beginning of the season. Then we could have known
Yeah.
what was going on.
I'll give you a boost fast. Then you can 10 and give me a hand so I can claw man.
Oh my gosh.
With all that explanation, it really feels like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it really feels like she's gonna have to turn and leave you behind or something. Oh.
I make his sleep. It does not make me.
Ooh, I like that quote. Good stuff.
I have someone who's important to you too.
Oh my
there it
gosh!
is.
Ah!
Whoa! Leverage. Are you okay?
Oh no.
They're your parents, aren't they?
Holy frickin' heck.
What have you done to them?
That's a shook and a half for her.
Or would they be trapped in some kind of eternal burning agony?
Claudia, are you okay, man? Like, that's a little cruel. Frick.
What? Heckin' bamboozleified.
What's wrong?
I've seen
I have a moral compass.
it was just cruel.
Ooh, amen, Terry. Good for you. Oh.
Hey, way to go, Terry. Oh.
Oh. Not Terry.
Oh. She's got a
But she's-
weakness.
Too bad her weakness isn't like her brother, and it's just some character that she met off screen, but it's still nice.
It's probably just your stomach.
He has a
He has a
stomach?
stomach?
haven't had a snack in over a decade.
What do you eat, sir?
Rocks.
Big doors.
That's cannibalism.
It takes.
Use your glutes!
Come on, Sven. Use your glutes!
Bait helping is not going to help at all, unless he somehow...
That worked. Are you freaking
Is it
kidding me?
because he's an earth boy? I don't know.
Mother Dargan.
She said, do not burn my son or you will frickin' die.
Put him in his place. Tell him. Speak to his manager.
Man, this sure would have more emotional impact if they had like had a single conversation over the series.
Rayla!
Oh. How did she get there?
How did she get there? Why is that melting? What is happening?
Erebos is being a butt cheek. That's what I bet.
My guy. I did not miss that look. It's not a good look.
He wasn't alive after all. It wasn't him the whole time, was it? It was just an Erebos trick.
What the frick is happening? What is bad guys?
I don't know.
You're afraid.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm just annoyed about your existence. Well, that happened. That's what we waited a few years for.
You know, like, since it's been so many years and I'm not as invested in the Dragon Prince, I can't say I was disappointed, but I wasn't impressed either.
Yeah.
It did just feel very, like, instead of having, like, emotional ups and downs, it just felt very level the whole time.
I agree entirely. There wasn't a whole lot of, like, lingering on dramatic, tense moments. There was just kind of, okay, we gotta keep going, we gotta keep checking on these other side characters that we barely care about. Okay, now we gotta check on the other. Like, every time we would get a point where they were about to have a poignant moment, it would leave it on a cliffhanger, and we wouldn't get to see it resolved.
Yeah.
It would instead just kind of leave it, and you'd have to, I guess, imagine what happened.
Yeah, like the closest thing to anything emotional was like the Soren and Claudia reunion, but that just didn't really hit for me.
Yeah, I really just feel like the original plan for the story was kind of, sent off the rails, and they're in the process of recovering, and they don't know what to do. I don't know.
So I think the next season could be better now that they're kind of back on track-ish.
Maybe.
But I think that this one, I just really think they shouldn't have done the 2-year time skip, because I feel like this entire season was spent catching up on where the characters are emotionally and everything, that we didn't feel anything ourselves. Because the whole Callum and Rayla thing, it just put distance between them for no reason. And so it made me not feel anything for them. And, like, nobody felt like they were really, like, allowed to be themselves this season. Like, Rayla didn't get to be, like, sassy and fun. Callum didn't get to be, like, I don't know. Nobody just got to show off their personality. Like, I don't know. Everyone was just kind of doing things that needed to happen. But, like, Soren didn't get to be super, like, silly and dumb. And, like, I don't know. They were just all kind of, like, blander versions of themselves, and they didn't really interact with each other. That makes sense.
Yeah, they felt like they were all tools rather than people. Like, tools to fit the service of the... And honestly, some of them didn't even have much to do. They were just kind of...
Yeah, like, Viren, he didn't do a thing. Along. He was just existing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could have rewritten Viren and Terry out, and nothing would have changed about the whole, like, Claudia being the driving force behind Erebos coming back and all that.
Yeah, I think that I probably would have just I would have left Viren dead, maybe, because that would probably have more of an emotional impact on her. And then that would probably make her reunion with Soren more poignant. And,
or we could have just seen her go through the trauma and then have Erebos talk to her and start manipulating her into doing the next steps of his plan.
Yeah, I think that's the main problem with this season, is we just didn't see anything that would have been poignant. We didn't see Rayla leaving. We didn't see Claudia struggling with her dad's death and trying desperately to resurrect him and all that. We didn't see what the heck that end of that conversation with her and Soren was, with him surviving because of dark magic or whatever. I don't know, it just kind of told us that things happened, but we didn't get to see any of it.
And I don't know anything about, who the writers were, or like if they had a different team or whatever, but the writing just felt a little different than it did in the past, and I don't know if that's because, like I was saying, they changed their plans and it no longer fits as well with what their original plan was and they're trying to course correct, or if it was just like, I don't know. So part of it to me just feels like it's a different show now, and there's a little bit of me that's just like sad at that loss. Like, oh man, never get to know what would have been.
Yeah, because I agree that the writing used to feel different, and there used to be like more cute, genuinely funny, lighthearted jokes, but I can't really remember that much, like, just like funny one-liners or anything in this season. It was just kind of like, we got to get through everything to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
And yet it still didn't feel like anything really happened.
Yeah, it felt more like a checklist, and,
It's the same feeling as Defenders, because I felt kind of like with that, it was the same feeling of, like, things are kind of happening, but, like, nothing exciting or, like, impactful. It's just kind of things in a sequence,
At least slightly better than She-Hulk, because She-Hulk was that same kind of feeling, but way worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing happened to She-Hulk.
True.
Just gotta dump on that, sass that real quick while we're doing this.
Yeah, last time we watched The Dragon Prince, we were roasting She-Ra, now we're roasting She-Hulk.
That's funny. All the She's. Clearly we're just misogynists and we clearly hate women.
Yeah, I just have internalized misogyny. I just hate women and myself. So it's not like my favorite character is my profile picture right now, Natasha Romanoff. And we still don't know a single frickin' thing about Erebos.
yeah, they somehow managed to have the entire season be called the Mystery of Erebos, and yet we learned really nothing
Well, it
new.
certainly is a mystery still.
Yeah, I know. They're being very stingy with the details.
Yeah, because like everything they told us in that flashback, I feel like I already kind of knew. So
Yeah, and then there's all the elements that just kind of like added for one-time things, or just like for no reason. For example, the monkey thing was only there for that portal, I guess, which could have been accomplished in another way anyway, so there was no point to having the monkey be there other than to be cute. I don't know, there's lots of just bloat, I guess.
let's see. Are there any positive things we can say?
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess I was going to say it's a positive, but it also could be a negative if you hated the Phantom Menace. Like, the politics and stuff. I mean, they were trying to give some good messages about, like, you know, not hating other groups, but that's so basic, literally everyone already
Don't
knows
be
it.
racist.
Yeah, obviously. Problem solved. Just don't be stupid. But then some of the ways they tried to accomplish it, like a lady being like, "Oh, fire is the worst thing you could ever..."
That was very convoluted.
I don't know. It just feels like they could have accomplished a lot of the things they were accomplishing in better ways. Like,
Yeah,
the
that's
characters
another
could have made
thing.
smarter choices, the world could have gone a little better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of this was just a little contrived.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about things that happened off screen in the time skip, but that's another thing. Like, we didn't see any of Janai and Amaya getting closer. They just, like, last season.
I mean, yeah, last season
Maya was
they didn't
a
know each
prisoner.
other. They didn't know each other at all, and suddenly, oh yes, holding hands, totally in love. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's very out of nowhere, and now they're getting married. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Where'd that
and
come
so-
from?
That kind of lessens the emotional thing of, like, oh, does she want to be queen or does she want to get married? Because, like, we don't really care about that relationship that much because it hasn't had any time to really, like, develop or anything.
Mhm.
So it just made me not really care about that plot line very much.
Yeah, it's another
So,
it's
I
another
don't know.
instance of show don't tell, because we were just told
Yeah.
that they care about each other. We don't see it really. We just, okay, I guess they care about
They
each
just
other.
want to
Sure.
go around saying that they're in love, but they don't want to show it.
Exactly, you get it. Yeah, it pains me to say that, you know, Dragon Prince is not as good as it was in the first two seasons. But yeah, seasons 3 and 4 have not, you know,
I
made me
mean,
as
even
happy.
season 3, I agree it wasn't as good as season 1 and 2, but they still had such big emotional moments. Like
Yeah,
when
it
Soren
was
killed his dad and
good.
everything.
But yeah, I feel like even then the effects of the story being changed in the direction we're
Yeah.
still being seen, because they made it wrap up with a nice little bow, and they had that, like, that shot at the end where everyone stood beside each other, like, facing the camera, like, oh yay, that's the end, here's everyone. And I was like, oh, okay, they think they're gonna get cancelled and not have another season. They had to finish it all up.
But there were still so many like emotional things, like when Soren chose the good side and he left Claudia, and she was like, "Don't make me choose again."
Oh,
And
yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
a good moment.
Yeah.
And then when he thought that he was stabbing his dad, that was such a good moment. And there were just like a lot of good things in season 3, but nothing made me feel anything in this season.
Yeah.
Like I was still so invested in season 3 because like there were things happening with characters that I cared about, and this one was just kind of like fell flat.
Yeah. And that really hurts me to say as well, because, like, I don't want to be mean or whatever. I know the writers,
Yeah.
or at least, I don't know if it's the same team of writers, but they have talent, obviously, but I just
Yeah.
don't feel like this one hit the mark as well as the other ones did.
So it doesn't discount the whole show or anything, and it doesn't make me
Yeah, maybe
say,
they'll bring
"Oh,
it
I'm-"
around. Maybe in the next seasons it'll still hit
Yeah.
a great conclusion, and, you know, it'll just be a different
There's
story.
still so much potential for them to make it good in later seasons,
Yeah.
but this one was just a little bit of a struggle.
How do you feel about Callum? I don't know how to describe what I'm thinking. Like, his position, status, quest, wants, needs, all that. It felt like he was just kind of there to be the magic trick, pull things out of his hat type of guy. And, like, apparently he studied a bunch, but, like, we didn't really get to see much of what drove him. All we knew was he was upset that Rayla left for an inexplicable purpose, and I don't know. So he was just kind of there. Like, he wanted to
Yeah.
protect his brother, and other than that, he was just kind of there. We were just like, okay, I guess he's there now. Whereas
And
he was really
nothing-
driven to accomplish a goal in the first couple seasons.
Yeah. And like nothing came of that weird little scene where he was like, Rayla, I need you to kill me. I thought for sure like something was gonna happen with that at the end of the season. Because
I'm sure that's a setup for later. Because, yeah, Erebos isn't back yet, so clearly that'll be relevant later, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it just kind of felt weird, especially since they hadn't talked yet still.
Yeah,
about, like,
yeah, they should have really had them have an actual conversation there. Like, that
Yeah,
could
they
have
still
led
haven't.
into the conversation that they needed
Yeah.
to have.
they still hadn't like communicated out. Like nobody in that group had any like actual conversations about anything. Other
Nobody
than,
in the
like,
show is
plot.
having good conversations anymore, which, if you remember,
Yeah.
like in season 2, I was talking about how it's great that they're actually having characters be smart and communicate and not have
Yeah.
inexplicable misunderstandings.
Miscommunications.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas now, we're having the big earth dragon, get angry at them, and for some reason, even though it's the third party that got upset, and we're having I forgot the other ones. There's all kinds of things like that in this one, and I feel like that's
Yeah.
just a mark of not as good writing. Because, I mean, while misunderstandings obviously do happen in real life all the time, they're so deeply annoying and unsatisfying to the audience. Because you could be like, your entire plot could be solved in 5 minutes if they just had a proper conversation, and yet you're just, having them be stupid instead. Why? For
Yeah.
example, Soren and Claudia, they could have had a good, really poignant conversation, and even if it didn't come to a resolution, they could have at least had a great scene trying to talk about reconciliation, perhaps, instead of just saying, hey, you're bad, stop being bad, you don't understand, being bad's great, and then we cut off and go to a different scene about, holding hands or whatever, I forget, and it doesn't really matter, nobody cares, and then we leave that scene to go do something else, and it's just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, there was a lot of like cutting in the middle of a scene that should have been longer and more emotional. They didn't let anything breathe. I feel like.
Exactly. It felt like a crutch, honestly, because like usually when you do something like that, you're doing it either to make the tension more, like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens, oh no, something interesting is going to happen, and then when you come back to that, you build up that tension even more, and when it finally drops, it's really impactful. But what they were doing was they were like starting to build it up, and then they cut off, and all the tension just deflated like a limp balloon, and then they'd go somewhere else, barely inflate it, and then it would waste. And it's like, why are you doing this? Just actually, make something that stands.
That is sad that we didn't like this season because the Dragon Prince was the show on our channel that we liked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, we were coming off of She-Ra when we started watching it.
True. That is true.
Our standards were on the ground.
Not saying that the show wasn't good. Though.
Yeah, no.
I think the first at least 2 seasons
It was great.
and
I
a
enjoyed
lot
it.
of the third were still really good.
Mm-hmm. What I was trying to say earlier, I don't know if I ever finished the thought, was I kind of liked the subtle political overtones a little bit with the like forming peace and having negotiations be at the forefront to repair relationships and try to move forward to a better world. That's good stuff, and I would have liked that to be explored a little more. But instead, everyone just kind of was like, okay, bye, we're leaving now, gotta save the world, because the entire world is threatened by one spooky Starlight Boy getting out of prison.
Starlight Boy.
I don't know. So it just kind of felt like we kept leaving behind things that were interesting in favor of things that were maybe less interesting.
Yeah, and then there's just so many like random little things that I feel like didn't contribute to the story at all. Like, what was the point of Soren getting stuck in that pit with a little dragon? I don't really understand.
It really did accomplish nothing, and honestly, I don't remember what happened to the dragon after that.
Yeah, same. It was just very forgettable.
And Claudia felt a little OP, just a little bit. Like, I know she's had 2 years to practice her dark magic or whatever, but previously, dark magic was kind of it felt grounded, because anytime they needed to do something, they had to pay a price for it. They had to get an item, they had to squish a thing, or get something rare and powerful that they would only be able to use once, and then they'd lose it, and they wouldn't be able to do that same kind of thing again. Whereas now, she was just doing whatever she needed to, whenever she felt like it. She just had a bag of tricks that she could do whatever with, and there were practically no limits to her power. So that was a little bit Ex Machina-ish, when she just kind of came in and made everyone fall asleep and all that stuff, which is, on one hand, it's neat to have an unstoppably powerful villain, but at the same time, it felt like a huge jump out of nowhere in terms of power level that she might not have been at before. I don't know.
And I just wish that she had like shown more emotion or like conflict this season. 'Cause
Yeah.
she felt like she didn't really show much of anything. And for me, like the best part of like especially seasons 2 and 3 were Soren and Claudia, because they like I was so invested in their family dynamic and how much like conflict there was there, because like
Oh, yeah.
Claudia has abandonment issues and she really wants to keep her family together, but it's breaking apart because her dad is crazy and her brother doesn't want to be turned into a freaking magma monster, and so they all split up, and then it's like really painful and everything. So I just would have liked to see more like, you know, conflict and emotion from her, but I feel like she was just kind of going with the flow this season, and I didn't really feel anything new for her. I don't know, I didn't get to see into her head much. It was just kind of she's doing the bad things. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I completely agree. I feel like the Viren, Soren, Claudia dynamic was probably the biggest source of like emotional intrigue and drama in the past, whereas
Yeah.
this time it was pretty much brushed under the rug and ignored for the most part, which is crazy. And then
Yeah.
Claudia was just kind of one note almost. She was just, yeah, I love my boyfriend and I'm totally still evil and murderous. And that's just like a weird, she's like a psychopath. It's very strange. It's a weird, like, have your cake and eat it too, to have her be so like happy-go-lucky and cheerful and excited, but also doing horrible things. Like, it just seems like she's kind of unhinged a little bit, like getting Azula, but not with the actual terror associated with it, just in the is she
Yeah.
okay kind of vibes. But I
Yeah.
did like that she was kind of influenced by Terry to
Yeah.
change her ways a little bit. That was certainly interesting, even though we didn't get to see too much like emotional turmoil as a result of that. I wish that had been more of that, kind of like
Yeah.
making her consider, and maybe like throughout the whole season we would have that kind of thing culminating with a moment rather than just a one-time thing.
Yeah, as I said in the moment, I think it would have been cool if Soren was the one that like
Oh yeah,
was
that's
like,
very
look
true.
what you just did. That was so cruel that you just left her there and like you didn't even give her the coins, and then like he could be like, this isn't who you used to be, and
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that. And
oh
that could
yeah. Who
that
needs
would've
Terry?
been-
We should just have Soren still be kidnapped with him, and then have
yeah,
that
Terry
same thing
didn't need to
happen.
exist. Like Claudia already has her emotional ties with Soren, and that is her good side. So why would you need some other character to bring her back to the good side when she has so much history with Soren? Why would you waste that?
Yeah. You're breaking my heart more and more, sis.
I'm here for the angst, and they did not give me my angst.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my opinions are necessarily with the whole like Viren and Terry dealing with trauma starting to be addressed and then not maintaining a continual theme. It just kind of went away. Maybe they
Yeah.
had too many things they were trying to balance and things ended up on the cutting room floor. But I felt like that could have been another interesting thing to explore, but they just kind of touched on it and then left. And that, because they only touched on it and then left it alone and pretended like everything was fine, or at least made it seem like it, I'm not sure whether to think it was pandery or whether it was, I don't know, unrealistic, whether it would have been better to just not have that. I'm not sure how I feel about it, really, because it was so like out of nowhere and then gone.
I stand by what I said, where I don't think Terry or Vera needed to exist this season.
Yeah, I agree, because like we were dealing with the Callum and Rayla stuff, and then we cut to Terry and Viren sitting at a campfire talking about how Claudia isn't there yet, and that's it. And then we're on to something. Why did that scene need to exist? It didn't accomplish anything. It didn't push the story forward. All it did was just have
Yeah.
them talk to each other a little bit, and okay, it's cool, but why?
Yeah, there's just, I wish that, like, if you think about it, there could have been a whole theme this season about, like, separation and loss and reconciliation.
Oh, you're
'Cause if
right.
it hadn't been the 2-year time skip, and if we had actually seen Rayla leaving, then we would have had the separation, loss, and reconciliation with Soren and Claudia. That could have been an arc.
Mhm.
And then there could have been with Callum and Rayla, with her wanting to do her own thing, and then him feeling that loss and kind of betrayal, and then they would need to reconcile. And then also Ezrin would have had to go back and be king, and Zim would have had to stay with his mom, so they would have been separated and would have had to like find their way back to each other and figure out how to balance that. So that could have been like a running theme, and like all the characters could have had to deal with like moving forward in life now that they accomplished this quest, and like balancing relationships and figuring all that out. But instead, we just kind of skipped past all of that.
Yeah, and you're very right, like, about the humans as well that were stuck in Zadia, who apparently never decided to go back after 2 years. Like, didn't that army that got marched from Katalis over to Zadia, didn't they have families and stuff back home that they would want to go back to after the battle? I'm
You
kind
would
of
think
confused.
so.
I feel like I interrupted you. Was there more to your thought? Something got lost, I feel.
No, I guess I was just saying how I personally would have written this season, which is where I would have just started where the last one ended and focused on, I guess, those themes and those personal relationships and the angst of the characters that are separated and like all their history together and, you know, all that stuff, instead of just brushing past it for the sake of Erebos and everything. And like Erebos could have even fit into my version of the plot, because like he seems to prey on people who really want things, and so he could, you know, prey on Callum because he really wants to get back with Rayla, or he could prey more on Claudia because she lost her whole family, or like there's so many options that he could have gone with and like still dealt with the whole like, oh no, Erebos is coming, how do we stop him, that kind of thing, while also dealing with the angst of all these relationships and reconciliation and stuff.
Oh,
you know?
it would have been so good what you're saying with Callum, like, because everyone would have expected Claudia to take up the mantle of Erebos, but if Callum had been the one who ended up getting manipulated and Claudia started to heal and like reconcile with her brother and come back to the good side, it would have flipped that dynamic entirely, because she would have been the dark magic user who's trying to stop the sky magic user, the proper pure magic user. That would have been
really cool.
That would have been so emotionally charged. That would have been great. But alas,
I'm so sad that didn't happen.
Alas, it is not the way that it is.
No.
We can make our own headcanon story.
Yeah, I'm gonna friggin' write fan fiction now. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed our reactions, even if you guys like the show and we're kind of hating on. We're not hating on it. We're giving constructive criticism.
Yeah, we still like it. It's just we like to think as deep as we can about the things that we watch, because, you know, the stories we tell to each other help us to shape the way we view the world, and it's important to make sure we're listening to good stories and getting good messages from them and all that kind of stuff. And writing well is a difficult art to achieve these days, and would hate to see the world just kind of start accepting terrible writing as the standard, because apparently a lot of those movies being produced these days are not very good quality, and yet people are defending them in stupid ways like ad hominem, and, you know, oh, if you don't like our movie, clearly it's because you're istophobe or something. I don't know. So you fight against that.
Don't forget to check out our Dragon Prince parodies that we made a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I have a playlist of all of our Dragon Prince content, including Sassings, us making dark magic pancakes, our parodies, and then us like painting Dragon Prince characters. All of that is in a playlist if you're interested to see that.
Hope you have a phantasmical day, and we'll see you next time. That was so useless.
Have a good one.
Yeah, we should have just said that. Yeah. I haven't been sleeping well.
Just for no reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I was sleeping fine. Suddenly one day, my brain was like, "No, you will sit here on your back for 5 hours and not sleep at all." And I'm like, "Why? I would like to not be here, but okay." And then it happened like multiple nights in a row, and I got more and more stressed out. Like, bruh, I need to sleep or I will die. And body was like, I disagree with that.